الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين. اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل يا رب العالمين. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: من يرد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters. I welcome you to the Fiqh of Business class. Inshallah ta'ala, today we will be continuing with the chapter of Al-Khiyar, Bab Al-Khiyar, which is the chapter of cancellation, options and return policies in Islam. Can everyone please confirm that the audio is working properly, inshallah, before we continue? Jazakumullahu khairan. If everyone can just confirm that the audio is working. Jazakumullahu khair. So we'll start, inshallah. So last week, alhamdulillah, we started the chapter of Bab al-Khiyar, and we'll just go very quickly and do a very quick review. We mentioned the first one is Khiyar al-Majlis, and this is the option to return or cancel your transaction while you're still in the same place where you bought the item. And the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned in an authentic hadith, which is muttafaqun alayh, mentioned Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said, البايعان بالخيار ما لم يتفرقا فإن صدقا وبينا بورك لهما في بيعهما وإن كتما وكذبا محقت بركة بيعهما. The Prophet ﷺ said that the two merchants or the two parties in the business are or have the right to cancel their or to annul their trade as long as they are still together in the same place. فَإِن صَدَقَا وَبَيَّنَا, and if they are truthful to each other and they reveal everything clearly to each other in their sale, بُورِكَ لَهُمَا فِي بَيْعِهِمَا, then they are blessed with their transaction. So both of them will be blessed. They will have barakah in their business, in their trade. وَإِن كَتَمَا وَكَذَبَا مَحَقَتْ بَرَكَةُ بَيْعِهِمَا. And if they cheat one another or they lie, then the barakah will be removed from their transaction, or it will be eliminated. And this hadith is in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. So it's very, very important that we are truthful and we make everything clear when we are buying or we are selling anything, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will instill His barakah in our trade. The second type of khiyar is khiyar shart, and this is the type of khiyar, or type of the haq, or the right to return an item within a defined period of time. So when when you purchase something and the seller gives you 30 days, or he gives you 15 days, or he gives you 3 days to return that item, then you have that haq, that right to return that item. And this is something that is very common, especially in the West here. When we go to Walmart, when we go to any type of department store, they will usually give you about 30 days for regular items. And for electronics, they would give you maybe 15 days or 10 days. And subhanAllah, even the fuqaha, they mention when they talk about the differences in khiyar al-shart and the difference, the scholars have when they talk about the time period. Are you allowed to do it for 3 days or 5 days or 10 days, or is there an unlimited time you can do it for? And uh, the, the most correct opinion, wallahu ta'ala alam, is that the time period is defined by the type of item that you are selling. And this is one of the opinions. This is probably the most correct one. And subhanAllah, we find this is the one that we are, or that's being implemented right now, right here, in our days, in our customs, where you go to Walmart or you go to any type of store and they would give you a general return period of 30 days. But if it's like if it's a cell phone or if it's an electronic item, they'll give you like 15 days. They'll give you less amount of time because those things, the prices can change very quickly, right? So if they give you for 30 days, they give you for 1-2 months, the price may go down by the time you return it, right? That could be one of the reasons, right? So the scholars talk about the difference in the time period, how long you can have that time to return it, and the most correct opinion is that it differs from item to item. So for a car, it may be maybe a week. For an electronic item like a phone or like a camera or a computer, it may be 15 days. For something else like like glassware or kitchenware, it may be 30 days, right? So it could differ depending on the item. The third type of khiyar is khiyar al-ghaban, and this is when a person gets ripped off. So when a person he pays an excessive amount of price, more than the market price, without knowing. So he comes and he buys an item and he doesn't know that he's getting ripped off. And there's a difference between a person that is musta'jil, a person that is in a hurry and he knows that he's getting ripped off. For example, he has a flight to catch or he has to leave to go somewhere, and he knows that this item that he's trying to get, he can get it for cheaper, but he's buying it at this expensive price because he has no choice, basically right now, because he has to leave, and he knows for himself that he is paying an excessive price. Then he does not have this option or this right to return. This right is only for the person that does not know, and for the person that is being ripped off, and he doesn't know, and he's basically he's being taken advantage of because of his situation. And a lot of times this happens to tourists. Also, this happens to people that have this. A lot of there are some type of people that they don't know how to negotiate, and they have husn al-dhan. They think well of their brothers in all circumstances, and many times when a businessman or a business person, a tradesperson, when he would trade, they would calculate the negotiation amount in their price. So if they want, $50 for this particular item, what they would do is they would list it for $100, or they would list it for $80, knowing that the person that comes to buy it will negotiate and get them down to $50. And that is the price they intend to sell it at. Now, a person comes, an innocent person, and he asks him what the price is, and the seller tells him it is $100, and he purchases right away. And then he goes home to his brother or his family, and he shows them something that he bought, and they tell him that that is not worth, that's only worth $50. You paid, double the price, and he didn't know. So in that case, he has the right to go back and get a refund, or he can go get the difference in the price. The fourth type of khiyar or cancellation option is khiyar tadlis, and this is the option to cancel or annul the contract if you have been cheated. And we mentioned this the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ commands us not to tie up the udders of the camels or the sheep when you're interested to sell that animal. And this is something that was known in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Those that would cheat and they would try to sell their animal, showing that it would be an animal that has a lot of milk and give a lot of milk. They would tie the udders up and then leave it for a day or two, and then they would sell it. And the buyer would think that this animal, can give off a lot of milk. And then he would go home, he would milk a lot the first day, and then the second day, third day, fourth day, he would see it's not giving the same amount of milk, right? So this is a type of cheating. And any type of cheating, the scholars mention that, putting a name, for example, putting made in Germany when it's really made in China, or putting changing something of the outer aspect of that product to make it look like it's worth much more. And this is done especially in cars. When buying and selling cars, a lot of people, they would get a crashed car, a car that has been totaled or been very, very severely damaged, and they would fix it up, paint it up, and they would make it look brand new, and they would not tell the buyer that it is a crashed car. And this is something which is not allowed. You should tell the buyer that this car has been in an accident, it has been crashed, etc. Uh, and it is haram for you to sell it as a new car or as a car that is in very good condition and it looks like there's nothing has been wrong with it. This is a type of khiyar tadlis, and this example of the car. Some of the ulama actually have mentioned this example as well. The fifth type, and this is where we will start with today, is khiyar al-aib. And this is, or this means having the option to return or to cancel your trade or your transaction if you find an aib, if you find a defect in the item. And this can be this has to be after you buy the item. So you buy the item thinking that there is no problems with it, or thinking that you buy the item and then you go home and you find a defect that you did not know about when you bought that item. So for example, you buy a cell phone and you go home and you find out that the battery is, it swells up, when you charge it, or it gets very hot, right? This phone is defective. You have the option to return that item. Now, if it is if the defect is something that does not affect the item that much, for example, you buy a car and it's a brand new car, but you realize there are a few scratches which you didn't see, and it doesn't affect you can still drive the car. There's no problem really with the car. It's just these scratches, and it devalues the car. So in that case, you can either return the car for a full refund, or what you can do is you can get the difference of the of the value of the car. So for example, what you would do is if you find a defect in an item, and for example, we'll say that Ahmed buys a car. The value of this car is $100,000, but he purchases the car for $50,000. So he buys a car for $50,000, and this car is worth $100,000 in the market. Now he takes this car and he seeks advice from experts, and they inform him that the car without any defects is worth $100,000, and with the defect it's worth $80,000. So that difference is 20%. So he is entitled to get 20% back of his original price. So 20% of $50,000 would be $10,000. So his right is that he would get $10,000 back for that defect that is in the car, or he can return the car for the full amount. So that's how it would work if you want to take the what it's called the arsh. The fuqaha call it the arsh, the difference between the perfect item and the damaged item. The next type of khiyar is khiyar fil bay' bi takhir al-thaman. Canceling after knowing the price that the seller has bought the item for. And there are three portions to this. Number one is at-tawliya, where the seller, he tells you the cost price that he bought this item for. So for example, you'll see this happens a lot when a person is trying to either he's trying to liquidate his stock, or he's trying to wholesale it, and he's trying to get a very quick sale. And of course, when the seller, he tells you that I bought this item for $10 and I'm selling it to you for $10, I'm selling it to you at the cost price, then this would encourage people to buy it from him, right? They would say, I'm getting a very good deal. I'm not, he's not taking any profit here. and you would think that you're getting a very good deal, right? So, for example, a merchant he's selling you a laptop for $1,000, and he tells you that this laptop is a is this laptop is is worth 1,000, or this laptop I'm selling it to you at the cost price of $1,000. And when he says cost price, he means that normally it would cost $1,000, and other businessmen would buy it for $1,000. But since he had an exclusive deal with the company, he was able to get it for $700. So when he says cost price and he says $1,000, he's truthful in that sense that the market price, the market wholesale price is $1,000, and other people cannot get this laptop for less than $1,000. However, he got it for $700 because he has some sort of relationship or some sort of exclusivity deal with the company. So he was able to get it cheaper. So now you buy this laptop for $1,000 thinking that this is the cost price what the merchant bought it for. You later find out that he got it for $700. He didn't get it for $1,000. Indeed, he lied to you. And you now have this option to return the item, or what you can do is he has the option to give you that $300 extra that he basically lied about. So he can either give you that, or you can return the item for the full price. It is your choice. Another way, or another way that this is also implemented is in partnerships. So, for example, this happens a lot when people are trying to make money off real estate or make money off a deal. What would happen often is a person would see an opportunity for an investment for a land, or for an apartment building, or for a house, or something like this. And for example, the land costs $1 million, and he sees that opportunity, and he puts a down payment of $100,000. Now, he has not fully purchased that land yet, and now he wants to sell shares of that opportunity, and he wants to break up the land, and he wants to sell it for, say, $50,000 each, or he wants to sell it for maybe $200,000 each, and he breaks it up, and he sells. Maybe he has 20 pieces, and that would give him $2 million. So he's trying to profit off of this. Now, if he has not purchased that land, if he's calling other people to be partners with him, he must be truthful, and he cannot lie about the price that he paid for that, or that he got that piece of land for. So if he got it for $1 million, and they come in, they have to share in that $1 million as partners. He cannot sell it to them at a higher price. If he purchases that land, and he owns the land, and now he cuts it up and wants to sell it to anyone, then he in the second situation, he has that option. He can sell it for $200,000, $250,000. He can sell it for whatever he wants. However, if he is trying to get partners to invest with him in that land, or in that property, or in that item, he must be truthful, and he must tell them exactly how much the cost of that land or of that property is, so that he does not fall into he does not fall into lying. He must be honest about it. And if he's not honest, and if they find out that he told the investors that he told the investors that he's giving them an opportunity at cost price, and he tells them it's $250,000 per lot, when in reality that is not the case, then they have the option to nullify that contract. So you must be truthful when doing partnerships, and you have to be very clear and truthful to all the partners that are in the partnership, in terms of when getting investors. The second type of خيار في البيع بتأخير الثمن. The second type of having the option to return when telling the price is المرابحة. المرابحة means, it literally means profit. And this is where you tell the person uh, exactly how much profit you've made or you are making on this item. And this happens a lot. Uh, this happens a lot in the market where a person would say that I'm only making $10 on this item, or I'm only making $5 on this item, and when he's trying to get the sale for you, from you. And of course, this also, it encourages the buyer. He knows exactly what, how much profit you're making, and this gives him, some sort of clarity in his heart that, that he's only making $10 profit, $5 profit. Let me just purchase the item from him, right? And this happens a lot in different marketplaces. So what happens here is that sometimes, the person, he would lie, right? He would say that I'm only making $10 profit, when indeed he's making $20 or $30 or $40. And of course, the buyer, he doesn't know. So if the buyer finds out that, he purchases the item, and after he comes back and he finds out that this seller indeed lied, then he has the option to return that item and get the full refund, or he can opt for getting the difference of the price. He can get a difference of the price that he lied. So if he said that he's only making $10 profit and he was making $30, then he can get that difference of $20. Also, an important point here is that sometimes, or one of the ways that merchants cheat with this option is they would tell you that I'm only making $10 profit, and they would show you their receipt. So they show you the receipt. They purchased the item for $5 and they're selling it to you for $10, when in fact that receipt is a fake receipt, or it is not the actual price, because sometimes a manufacturer or a company will print a receipt for you, whatever price you tell them. So you tell them you want the receipt to be printed for $5, they will print the receipt for $5, and in actuality you didn't pay that $5. You made a cash deal with him and you paid $1 or $2 for that item. And this happens a lot, and this is a type of cheating and lying if you do this, if you show them your receipt and you really didn't pay that amount. Or if you got a discount and it was not recorded on that receipt, right? So this is very important, and we need to take heed of this type of cheating that occurs. And of course, if you find out later on, you can return the item for a full refund or get the difference. The third type of this of selling at a price which is known is al-muwada'a, and this is cost plus or cost minus a loss. And this happens when a person also is trying to get rid of stock very quickly. They would tell you that I purchased these items at $10 each and I'm selling them for $7 so that I can get rid of them. And this usually happens where the seller had already made the profit. So perhaps he purchased a big lot and he's made his profit already, and he wants to get rid of all of his stock. So he sold half of the lot and he's made his profit. Perhaps instead of selling he purchased it for $10, maybe he sold it at $25. And he's looking to sell out all of his items, all the rest of items he has. Maybe he has half left or a quarter of the stock left, because there may be different reasons why he would want to do this. Perhaps if he stays longer than anticipated, he may have to pay storage fees, right? So it's cheaper for him to just sell all the items out at a cost price or at a cost minus a loss on the item. Perhaps he wants to change businesses, and this happens sometimes when a person wants to change their product or their business. So they sell out all of the items at a cost price minus a loss. So they'll sell at a loss in order to change their business very quickly. And here also, if a person purchases an item and he is told that the item I paid $10 and I'm selling it to you for $5 or $7, and he finds out later on that the merchant was lying, then he can return the item for a full refund, or he can get that difference in the price which he had been told previously. And in all of these situations, the reason why the buyer has that option to return the item or to get that difference in the price is because when they are told the price, when they are told, I'm selling it to you at cost price, or at cost plus a little bit profit, or at cost minus a loss, they are encouraged to purchase the item. And this would encourage a person much more to purchase from them because of that, because of him telling the price of the item. And this is the reason why they have that option to return the item if they had been lied to. The seventh option of returning is الخيار لاختلاف المتبايعين, differing over a price. So this happens when two people, they agree on a price. So for example, Ahmed sells his car to Muhammad for $10,000. Now Muhammad, he doesn't pay right away. He takes the car and he tells Ahmed that I'll pay you next week, inshallah. Right? And Ahmed, he's saying that he's selling the car for $10,000. Muhammad, he said, I'll pay you next week, don't worry. And he takes the car. The week comes, time for the payment comes, and Muhammad says that he sends the money, and he sends him $7,000. And then Ahmed says, no, it was $10,000. Why are you giving me 7,000? And Muhammad said, no, we agreed for 7,000. Don't you remember? And Ahmed says, no, I don't remember. It was $10,000. And they are both firm and adamant in their price. So Muhammad really thinks that he agreed to pay $7,000, and Ahmed really thinks that he sold it for $10,000. They have some sort of discrepancy. Either one of them are forgetting, one of them have forgotten, or one of them is not telling the truth. So in this situation, what happens is that both of them must swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they did not purchase they have to swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then the transaction is void. So the way they would do it is, Ahmad would say, I swear by Allah, Wallahi, I sold you this car for $10,000. And then Muhammad would say, Wallahi, I bought this car for $7,000. And they would swear by Allah in this manner, and then afterwards the contract would be nullified, and the car would return back to the owner, and Muhammad would get his money if he paid any money back, and they would go their separate ways. So this would basically nullify the contract between them two. And this would happen if they have a differ in their price, which they previously agreed upon. And this would most likely happen if they did not have any written transaction. And subhanAllah, this shows the importance of having having a transaction or a contract when you're purchasing an item, especially if you did not pay for that item, or if there's some sort of money that's left back to be paid for. You should always document whatever you're paying and whatever you've been paid for, so that there's no differences afterwards. Lastly, we have khiyaru fi khalf al-sifa, and this one is not here, but it is part of, it would be part of having a part of khiyar al-aib, and this is the option to return if you find out that the description of the item was different from what you purchased it at. So this happens when, for example, you're buying something online, and the item in the description, you chose to purchase an item where it should have been the item, for example, you're purchasing a phone, and the item or the phone should be in a green color. Now, when you purchase it, you realize that the phone is, in fact, it's not green, but it is red. So you purchased a green phone and you get a red phone. So in this situation, you have that option of returning that item because the color or the description of the item was incorrect. And this would fall under it would not necessarily be a defective item, but it would fall under that category where the item is not as described as mentioned previously or as you've seen the item previously. So a lot of times either you're buying it online or you're buying it from an ad, or you go and you view that item. And subhanAllah, sometimes this happens where in shows or in places where they would demonstrate the product and then they would sell you a different product. So you would be at a show, they would demonstrate the product, that product would be very high quality and it would work really well. And when they pull out one of their products from the back to give you a brand new one, it would be different, right? It wouldn't be the same, right? It's not defective, but it's just how they make it, right? They made it different, right? And in this situation, you also have, or in this case, you also have the right to return that item for a full refund, or you can agree to accept the item as is. And inshallah ta'ala, we will stop here bi'idhnillah, and next week bi'idhnillah we will start the chapter of ar-riba. And I didn't want to get into this today because it would be a very lengthy chapter and we would need a lot of time to get into it. So inshallah bi'idhnillah, next week we will start the chapter of ar-riba and we will discuss the different types of ar-riba and how riba, what's the ruling of falling into riba, paying it and accepting it, and the different types of riba when it comes to food, when it comes to loans, and when it comes to lending and borrowing items or trading different types of items. Insha'Allah ta'ala. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. If there are any questions, please you can ask them in the chat right now, inshallah ta'ala. I'll wait for about 5 minutes. بإذن ta'ala. Okay, I don't see any questions, so we will end off here, inshallah. If there are any questions, you can also ask in the, you can also message from the WhatsApp group as well. Okay, there's a question. I heard for electronic items, the return period was reduced as people were cheating. For example, video cameras, use it for a trip or party and then return it. So the general ruling for that is that when you're purchasing an item, you should be purchasing it in good faith and not using the not taking advantage of the of their of their return policy, right? So a lot of people, they would purchase an item with the intention of using it and then returning it before that return period. And this is something that the Muslim should not do. He should have a, if he's purchasing something, he should purchase it with the intention of purchasing it, really purchasing it and keeping it. and that is probably the reason. Yes, all of the videos are made public. All the videos are made public on this channel. As soon as the video is done, inshallah, I'll edit the. I'll be editing it and then putting it, setting it to public, inshallah. For differing over price, can there be a negotiator used by both parties to look at any evidence, or only oath is sufficient? So if there are any evidences, then they can look at it. There can be a negotiation. That's fine if they both agree to that. If there is an evidence, then you go by whatever the evidence says. So if there's a piece of paper or if there's something, this is usually if there is no evidence. So this would this type for differing over prices. This would happen if there is no evidence and there's no way to determine who's telling the truth. Okay, if that's the last question, then we'll stop here, inshallah. You can always ask me in the WhatsApp group or by email if there are any other questions. بإذن الله تعالى وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.